Welcome to College Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Yawning skills gaps pose a real challenge. Poll shows most U.S. adults think AI will add to election misinformation in 2024. Why Kuiper believes Melvin checks all the boxes for Giants. It's a party in there. Bethune-Cookman snaps losing streak, claims first SWAC win. Anthony Albanese soon will be the first Australian Prime Minister in 7 years to visit China. Yawning skills gaps pose a real challenge. Financial Times. The UK is facing a significant skills gap across various sectors, as the demand for certain job roles outpaces the number of workers with the necessary skills and experience to fill them. The problem is being exacerbated by the aftermath of COVID-19 and Brexit, with high inflation and cuts to education spending. The skills shortage is particularly acute in sectors such as construction, IT, manufacturing, and social work. Employers are struggling to recruit workers with the right combination of technical skills and soft skills, making it difficult to fill vacancies. Poll shows most U.S. adults think AI will add to election misinformation in 2024. Associated Press. A poll has revealed that the majority of Americans believe that AI tools will increase the spread of fake news and misinformation in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. The poll, conducted by the Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs Research and the University of Chicago Harris School of Public Policy, found that 58% of those surveyed believed AI tools would amplify misinformation. Just 6% thought AI would decrease the spread of misinformation. The survey also found that a majority of respondents believed that it would be a bad thing for candidates to use certain AI tools in their campaigns. The use of AI in political campaigns has already been seen in the U.S., with both the Republican National Committee and Republican Governor Ron DeSantis using such tools. The survey also revealed that whilst 5% of respondents said they would consult an AI chatbot for information about the presidential election, most people would consult news media, family and friends, or social media instead. Why Kuiper believes Melvin checks all the boxes for Giants. Yahoo! Dwayne Kuiper, a broadcaster with NBC Sports Bay Area, has revealed his approval of the San Francisco Giants' hiring of Bob Melvin as their new manager. Kuiper praised Melvin's ability to check every box on the list of qualities sought by the Giants, including familiarity with the organization and the Bay Area market. He also highlighted Melvin's managerial skills and his ability to connect with fans of other Bay Area teams. Kuiper believes that, with a little talent and the proper use of existing talent, Melvin can lead the Giants to a successful season. It's a party in there. Bethune-Cookman snaps losing streak, claims first SWAC win. Yahoo! The Bethune-Cookman Wildcats won their first Southwestern Athletic Conference win of the season by beating Mississippi Valley State 20-7 in front of 4,380 fans at Daytona Stadium. The Wildcats, 2-7, 1-5 SWAC, took a 7-0 lead in the first quarter and never trailed. The victory snapped a 6-game losing streak. Anthony Albanese soon will be the first Australian Prime Minister in 7 years to visit China. Yahoo! The Australian PM, Anthony Albanese, is set to visit China, marking the first visit to the country by an Australian PM in 7 years. The visit follows a downturn in relations between the two countries, which resulted in a boycott of Australian goods by China, costing the Australian economy billions of dollars. China has been keen to improve trade relations, having failed to achieve its aims via an unofficial boycott. Shi Hong, an international relations professor at Renmin University of China, said that China and Australia still had some issues to resolve. Friday Briefing. New York Times. Israeli military forces have surrounded Gaza City and are engaged in face-to-face battles with Hamas militants as they push forward with a ground invasion. The Israeli military has rejected international calls for a ceasefire or temporary pause in fighting, stating that they have not yet achieved their goal of destroying Hamas. The White House has said that U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will urge Israel to agree to humanitarian pauses to allow aid to be distributed and hostages to be released safely. The Israeli military says it has struck over 12,000 targets in Gaza since the beginning of the campaign, while Gazan officials say more than 9,000 people in Gaza have died in Israeli airstrikes. The military has called for advances in electronic warfare to break the deadlock caused by the advanced technology and precision weapons used by both sides. Ukraine's top commander has said that his forces are locked in a stalemate with Russia, with no significant breakthrough imminent. Boom in unusual jellyfish spotted in UK waters. BBC. The number of jellyfish sightings in UK waters and on beaches has increased by 32% in the past year, according to a survey by the Marine Conservation Society. The most commonly seen jellyfish were the barrel jellyfish, but rarer warm water crystal jellyfish were also spotted. Climate change is believed to be creating favorable conditions for jellyfish populations to thrive, with a marine heatwave in June increasing UK water temperatures by about 3°C. The survey also reported an increase in turtle sightings, with 4 of these being of the leatherback, the largest sea turtle. Why Sam Bankman-Fried has been convicted of fraud. Economist. Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of cryptocurrency exchange FTX, has been convicted of financial fraud charges, including defrauding customers and lenders, securities fraud, commodities fraud, and money laundering. The jury took just 4 hours to reach a verdict, and Bankman-Fried now faces a maximum sentence of 110 years in jail. FTX was once one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges, but it collapsed in November 2022 after a leaked balance sheet revealed its sister hedge fund, Alameda, held few assets. Customers began withdrawing their funds, leading to an all-out run on the exchange. Bankman-Fried placed FTX into bankruptcy after being unable to raise funds. Former FTX insiders have provided evidence during the trial, detailing the rise and fall of Alameda and FTX. They testified that Bankman-Fried was frustrated by the lack of capital in Alameda and saw FTX as a source of capital. Evidence showed that Alameda was given a line of credit, which it used to withdraw more money than the value of its assets. Bankman-Fried claimed that he set up FTX to create an excellent futures exchange, but evidence revealed that Alameda used its privileges to borrow money for venture investments and excessive spending, including marketing and personal expenses. The prosecution used Bankman-Fried's own words and evidence against him, and emotional moments during the trial, such as employees resigning and the realization of the extent of the financial hole, appeared to convince the jury. The collapse of FTX and the subsequent trial of Bankman-Fried highlight the risks and potential for fraud in the cryptocurrency industry. It also raises questions about the role and responsibility of cryptocurrency exchanges and the need for stronger regulation and oversight to protect customers and prevent financial crimes. Zach Bohanne's brace leads number 19 Stanford to rout of San Diego State. Yahoo! The number 19 Stanford men's soccer team defeated San Diego State with a final score of 5-0. Zach Bohanne scored 2 goals, while Shane DeFlores, Fletcher Bank, and Duncan Jarvie each scored 1. The win improved Stanford's overall record to 8-5 and their conference record to 2-5. How an American meat broker is fueling Amazon deforestation. Yahoo! China has become the world's largest importer of beef and Brazil its largest supplier. The Brazilian cattle industry is a major driver of the destruction of the Amazon rainforest. Salt Lake City-based Parker Migliorini International, PMI Foods, has shipped more than $1.7 billion in Brazilian beef over the last decade. PMI has been one of the leading importers of Brazilian beef to China, and PMI provides a window into how that growing international trade is driving deforestation. PMI sources beef from companies that purchase cows raised on deforested land. Last year, the Brazilian Amazon lost more than 10,360 square kilometers of rainforest. Over 2/3 of deforested land in the Brazilian Amazon has been converted to cattle pastures. PMI gets more of its Brazilian beef from São Paulo, Brazil-based meat processing giant JBS SA, than from anywhere else. JBS has been investigated and fined by Brazilian authorities in connection with its purchases of cattle from illegal farms. PMI also buys in large volume from Brazil's second-largest meat processor, Marfrig, which has been dogged as well by reports by environmental groups and news outlets alleging that it purchased cattle from ranches that were involved in illegal deforestation. PMI has come under scrutiny from U.S. authorities before for its shipments to China, and PMI pled guilty to a misdemeanor charge of making a false statement to U.S. authorities about the destination of its beef exports and paid a $1 million fine. In an email, PMI said it had put the entire episode behind us 9 years ago, and emphasized that it pleaded guilty only to making a false statement. PMI was never charged with a crime for its export operations, said company attorney Mark Gaylord. In the last decade, Chinese imports of beef from Brazil have increased from $1.3 billion in 2013 to more than $8 billion in 2022. PMI has been a major player in feeding that growing market. As Brazil became China's biggest supplier, cattle production ramped up. China imposes relatively few environmental demands on its beef importers, meaning suppliers who need land for cattle may be tempted to engage in deforestation, said Holly Gibbs, a professor of geography and environmental studies at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. As China's demand for beef goes up, so does the stress on the rainforest, Gibbs said. 2 months after initial inquiries about its environmental policies for this story, PMI said it was joining industry efforts to combat deforestation. We are now proud to partner with One Tree Planted, Green Business Bureau and the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef, the company said last November. Since then it has planted 10,000 trees in the Amazon, the company said, part of a longer-term plan to plant 1 million trees. As billions roll in to fight the U.S. opioid epidemic, one county shows how recovery can work. Yahoo! The U.S. opioid epidemic has ravaged communities across the country, with over 500,000 opioid-linked deaths over the past 2 decades. In response to this, Hancock County in Ohio has built a comprehensive system focused on both treatment and recovery by adding housing, a needle exchange, outreach workers, and a community center. The local recovery system has been in place for nearly 4 years and was built with the help of the federally funded Addiction Technology Transfer Center. The approach has so far proven effective, with 28 deaths from all drugs last year and 5 suspected deaths this year. Fear and loathing behind the wheel. Why has driving become so weird? The Sydney Morning Herald. Drivers in Australia have become more aggressive and abusive since the start of the pandemic, causing concerns for the safety of vulnerable road users such as cyclists and pedestrians. An increase in risky driving behavior has been blamed for a rise in road deaths, with lives lost in Victoria and New South Wales at a 15-year high. Experts are unsure of the exact cause of this trend, but speculate that the stress and anxiety of the pandemic, increased car use, and general frustration with traffic congestion may be contributing factors. Drivers have been observed breaking basic road laws, speeding, running red lights, and failing to give way. They have also been seen using mobile phones while driving and displaying more aggressive behavior towards other road users. The increase in dangerous driving has been described as alarming, with many individuals reporting near-miss incidents and frightening experiences on the roads. Experts have suggested that a re-evaluation of transport systems and infrastructure may be needed to address the challenges posed by increased vehicle use. Gunnar Watson throws 3 TD passes to Chris Lewis. Troy beats South Alabama 28-10. Associated Press. Troy extended their win streak to 6 games with a 28-10 victory over South Alabama. Gunnar Watson threw 3 touchdown passes to Chris Lewis, while Kamani Vidal ran for 125 yards and a touchdown. Watson finished the game with 271 passing yards, while Lewis had 4 receptions for 120 yards. Deshaun Stoudemire added 81 yards receiving for Troy. LaDamian Webb scored a touchdown for South Alabama, but it was not enough to secure the win. As Israel-Hamas war intensifies, so does anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on college campuses. Yahoo! The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas is sparking tensions on college campuses across the United States, leading to an increase in threats to Jewish and Muslim students and faculty. The White House has announced new actions to tackle anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on college campuses. The move comes after a Cornell University student was arrested for allegedly making threats against Jewish students, and a viral video emerged from Harvard University, showing pro-Palestinian activists surrounding a Jewish student. Other universities such as Yale and Columbia have also experienced clashes and tension between Jewish students and supporters of Palestinian freedom. The Anti-Defamation League and the Council on American Islamic Relations have recorded a high number of incidents motivated by anti-Semitism and Islamophobia respectively. The Departments of Justice and Homeland Security will partner with campus and local police to track hate-related rhetoric online and provide federal resources to institutions. The Department of Education will expedite the complaint process for students and others who experience anti-Semitism under Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Furthermore, the Biden administration announced plans to create the first-ever U.S. national strategy to counter Islamophobia. Inmates say punishment doesn't stop after release. Yahoo! Prisoners released from doing time for crimes face a continuing backlash from prospective employers, landlords, and at the voting booth due to their criminal past. Oklahoma for criminal justice reform promotes just and appropriate accountability while reducing mass incarceration and its generational harm to families, that group site states. It offers stories about the challenges released individuals face in efforts to secure housing. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the 6 Degrees world, bringing you a recap of today's news. Let's dive in. First up, we have the UK facing a significant skills gap in various sectors. It seems like the demand for certain job roles is surpassing the number of workers with the necessary skills and experience. It's a real challenge, especially with the aftermath of COVID-19 and Brexit. So, employers are struggling to find the right combination of technical and soft skills in candidates. Next, a poll conducted in the US reveals that a majority of Americans believe that AI tools will increase the spread of fake news and misinformation in the 2024 presidential election. Only a small percentage think AI will decrease misinformation. Looks like AI is causing some trust issues among the public. Moving on, Dwayne Kuiper, a broadcaster with NBC Sports Bay Area, approves of the San Francisco Giants' new manager, Bob Melvin. According to Kuiper, Melvin checks all the boxes, including familiarity with the organization and the Bay Area market. With the right talent, Melvin can lead the Giants to success. Let's hope he can work his magic. In sports news, the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats celebrated their first Southwestern Athletic Conference win of the season, breaking their 6-game losing streak. It's definitely a reason to party for the Wildcats and their fans. Congrats to them. Now, we have Australian PM Anthony Albanese preparing to visit China, which is the first visit by an Australian PM in 7 years. The visit comes after a downturn in relations between the two countries. It seems like China is eager to improve trade relations, but there are still some issues to resolve. Let's hope this visit leads to positive outcomes. In international news, the Israeli military is engaged in intense battles with Hamas militants as they push forward with a ground invasion. The situation is escalating, with calls for a ceasefire and humanitarian pauses. It's a complex and volatile situation that requires careful consideration and diplomacy. On a lighter note, there's been a boom in jellyfish sightings in UK waters. Climate change is believed to be creating favorable conditions for these fascinating creatures. Just be careful if you decide to take a dip. In the world of cryptocurrency, Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of FTX, has been convicted of financial fraud charges. The collapse of FTX and the subsequent trial highlight the risks and potential for fraud in the cryptocurrency industry. It's a reminder that stronger regulation and oversight are needed to protect customers and prevent financial crimes. In sports news, the number 19 Stanford men's soccer team had a resounding victory over San Diego State with a score of 5-0. Well done to them. Next, we have an alarming increase in aggressive and abusive driving in Australia since the start of the pandemic. It's causing concerns for the safety of vulnerable road users. The stress and frustration of the pandemic, along with increased car use, are believed to be contributing factors. Let's hope for safer roads and a return to more courteous driving. Lastly, the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas is causing tensions on college campuses in the U.S., leading to an increase in threats against Jewish and Muslim students. The White House is taking action to address anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on campuses. It's crucial to create an inclusive and safe environment for all students. That wraps up today's news recap. Remember, I am always here to bring you the latest and most interesting stories from the 6 Degrees world. Now, it's your turn. What do you think about these news stories? Do you have any thoughts or questions? Let's discuss. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.